Okay, so sorry, I had to pause there for a second. We had someone come over. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. So we pretty much got it where we want it, okay? What I do want to do though is I do want to delete the weights off here because I don't want B46 touching anywhere on the head because that's going to look weird when the bang sways and the back of the hair sways with it. It just would not make sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to click up here to this little area where it says brush, and we're going to choose our subtract brush, and we're going to start subtracting the weights. Now it may take a while to do this like this. What you can do is just hit F and turn up your brush size, and when you find the brush size you want, just click enter or click your left mouse and you can do it that way, okay? Simply by just going like that. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna, and also if you zoom out, obviously your brush gets bigger because if I click, bam, it just does a lot. Okay, so it gets more precise based off how you zoom in and zoom out, but the brush size always stays the same based off where you're on your viewport where you're at. So one thing about this too is you have to kind of dig around a little bit, see things that are behind it. Like, I see how I got all that, but I didn't color all this. But you want to make sure there's no influence on the B46 bone on top of any of this. Now this seems like tedious work and it takes a while. It actually, when you start getting, maybe your second or third hair, this is no big deal. This is like whatever. Like, you can watch an episode of Seinfeld in the background and just do this lazily without even having to care because you're so used to it. Don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Don't even know if you like Seinfeld. So insert whatever show you like here and assume that's what I said. All right. So now that that's done, we have our B45 and our B46. Bam, bam, bam. Good to go. We weighted the hair, and we're going to see what that looks like when we actually render it in game, and we should be good to go. I'm going to delete this calls file. Most things that we import always come with that calls file. We don't need it. We can delete it. If it's there, you don't delete it, no big deal. It just sticks there. It just doesn't do anything. I just like, for the sake of just deleting it, to delete it because it takes care of clutter. Our hair model already has a texture assigned to it. Now, the reason why this is showing up for mine is simply because it was actually a bunch of hairs put together and I had to convert them together from the original model. So don't worry about that. Okay. And like I said, we don't worry about textures because we're gonna assign the textures using the MDB cloner anyway. So whatever's there does not matter. We don't have to touch it. I always end up deleting the second and fourth one for the most part, the specularity and the other one, I forgot what it was. Usually I leave the diffuse normal on there anyway, but it doesn't matter because either way we're going to change them out with the new name that we name our texture files. Okay, so as always, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we're going to delete the head. We no longer need it. We've referenced it. We've used you. Goodbye. All right. Now that that's done, we have the hair. Now we have to assign the hair to the head. Okay, and hairs don't require anything as far as a special injection file like helmets do. Helmets require special injections simply because it needs to see how much hair is on a head based off those B45, B46, B47 bones, and it analyzes whether or not to just erase the entire hair and put the helmet over the head, or if it's partial hair and to say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and put the helmet on and let the hair shine through, or like a bandana. It tells if it's a bandana or it tells if it's a headband as opposed to a full plate closed helmet or anything like that. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and open up a hair model just to kind of show you reference to what it is, what it looks like in Neverwinter Nights 2. So Neverwinter Nights 2, import Neverwinter Nights 2. I'm going to click, I've already put it in the files here, HHF hair 01. Okay. Now that we've clicked it in, we're going to go ahead and delete the LO2 files. So it's Z. Oh, it looks like it does have an injection file. I haven't done hairs in a while, I guess. Oh wow, stand corrected on my own tutorial. Or maybe I just did that so I can prove myself wrong, therefore proving the tutorial to have better effect. I don't know. Okay. Delete. I totally forgot that injection file's in there. So yeah, so it tells you if it's a short hair or ponytail or unused, and I guess that's what talks to the helmet file to kind of find that happy medium in between the hair. And We don't need the hair here. That's the original hair model, but we do need the injection file. Now, I believe the injection file should still always, it's always going to be called this. You don't have to change the name of that too. And the calls, it looks like it's using the same calls. Delete 56. Let's see. Delete. Looks like it has its own calls, which is fine. I noticed it's different from the head one. So what I did is I deleted the old calls and I kept the new one that I imported. And just to play it safe, I'm going to delete that too and re-import everything now, because I don't want to get this wrong for you, with you or for you. So I'm going to go to File, Import the head again, the hair. And let's see, HHF hair 01. I'm going to double click that. And yeah, it looks like the calls, well, it's the same calls. It just didn't have the 56 bone. So that's fine. So let's go ahead and redo that. Delete this hair, delete the L01, delete the actual hair, and we're going to keep the injection file, which is the it's called HHF underscore pony underscore hair underscore dummy 01. And I guess what that does is if it finds hair that goes beyond a certain point, it'll automatically rewrite it with the ponytail or something like that. But we won't know until we look in game and find out exactly what it does. A lot of what I've done has been hands-on learning. There are really not much video tutorials or modeling tutorials out there for modeling Neverwinter Nights 2. There are some that are written PDF, and there are some who just don't like reading as much, or some that just it sounds, as a person who writes PDFs myself and creates them, sometimes when we write them, we tend to write them in the mindset of what we think we're portraying and what others may read it as, when in fact it's a little bit harder because we're not explaining it properly. Now that's nothing against the people who have written PDFs in the past. It's just something that I found that sometimes when people write PDFs, it sounds better when you're writing it down, but when someone's actually reading it, sometimes it doesn't follow through correctly. You gotta put a little deflection in that voice, or not that you can on paper, but in videos you can. Like, I can talk like this, or I can say you must do this instead of saying you must do this. Alright, so that being said, man, I'm just blabbing. Alright, gonna go ahead, Control 1 backside, and we're ready to do the export process. Now the export process is, of course, renaming this file to P underscore HHF underscore hair 01. Okay, hit Control A to select all, hit Control C to copy that, because as I've told you before in the past, okay, let's hit Control Tab, get out of that mode. You must always check these 3 files before you export. You must always check these 3 files, or these 3 little brackets, before you export. Not so much that one. If you want, you don't have to. You must always check these 3 brackets before you export. I say that because that's definitely one of the biggest reasons why some errors happen. You export something and you're sitting there like, what happened? Why isn't it showing? Why isn't it showing? It's more likely because one of these strings is missing something. One of these things, okay? So we're checking the modifier. Are we attached to the skeleton? Yes, we are attached to HHF underscore skel, human female skeleton, which is good. You can even bring it up if you'd like, okay? Next one. The mesh. Is the mesh the same name as the object? No, it's not. So when we import the object, Neverwinter Nights 2 is going to say, sure, we got the object. Where's the mesh within the object? Because an object can have various meshes within it. Oh, we don't see PHHF underscore hair 01. We see 25 underscore hair 0 underscore 0 underscore 8 underscore 0 underscore 0. Once again, that's 20. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we're going to copy this, press Control C. All right. Control V, and as we notice, to give it an instance, Neverwinter Nights 2 does not read instances. The reason why I did that is because it noticed somewhere in the past there was already 2 versions of this hair that were made. The first version, the one that we imported, the second version, the one that we created here, and now this would be the 3rd version. To overwrite that, just Control V again, it'll correct. Okay, it's just kind of, it's like a safety net to kind of give you like an idea of what's kind of give you an idea of that. Are you going to override this file? No, so it's like a safety override. Alright, so that being done, we're going to go into the material. Is the material the same name as the object? No, it is not. It is 25 underscores hair 0 under. We did that before. Okay. So Control C, Control V, instance 2. Nope. Control V again. So you always want to just do it twice. It's always going to happen. If you pulled in a hair prior to this, it's always going to say, especially if you're overriding the older version. Normally, when I create hairs, I always override as the hair 01 option, so I can always view it in the character creation part of the game. So I don't necessarily have to enter any module or have to worry about click, 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 log in, do that. It's just jump into the fastest module, check it out, make your changes there, dive out. When you're done, export it out as a different name. Your next project is going to take over the HHF Hair 01 MDB anyway. So, and we'll do that actually. Okay. So now that that's done, like I said, textures, don't have to worry about the textures that correlate with the material because, simply put, we are going to assign those via the MDB cloner. Okay. So now that that's done, we're ready to export. Go ahead and double click this. I'm going to copy it again. Now I know it's already copied. I just have a habit of doing that just to play it safe. Okay, so file, export, Neverwinter Nights 2, smooth TS seams, just like we did with the hat, an alpha test. None of these matter because that's only for making heads. Okay, so I'm not going to put it overwrite the original hair model for some reason. I'd like to put it in the hair tutorial. Actually, no, I can't because it's there. So let's see. Can I create a new folder within here? Let's see. Here we go. Just click this button up here, create a new directory. I'm gonna call this exported hair. Okay, I'm gonna go into exported hair and I'm gonna Control V what I copied, the name, and just export to MDB there. Now that I've done that, okay, I can drop this down. Hello, drop you down. Okay, take you off, okay? And we're gonna go to our hair tutorial, exported hair, and there we are. Now what we are going to do is we are going to quickly touch up on the maps. So texture, and this is the diffuse map. This is where it's pulling its textures from. All right, I'm going to go ahead and quick adjustments, a little quick auto tone, auto contrast, auto color maybe. Maybe I can manually adjust that. Turn on the brightness. The reason why you want it to be bright is because it goes a long way within the engine itself. The more brighter, the more that the tint will show up. Add a little more contrast. This is just me doing a little bit of editing on my own here. I'm going to click OK. And then it's going to be red because we don't have a tint map yet, but we're going to create one after this. Okay. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and save that out. I'm going to click Control S. Okay, save that out as a TGA. It's already a target file. We can convert it over to DDS afterward if you'd like. It'll save us small hard drive space. I always recommend DDS over TGA unless it's something specific, but you generally want to save out as DDS. In this case, I'm not going to do that because I'd like to show you that target files also work. So I'm going to open up the hair normal file. Okay, now the normal file must have a specularity map. In this case, it doesn't. I explained that with the hats. So we're going to go into layers, we're going to go to channels, click this little icon down here where it says create new channel, and that's going to create the alpha channel. Because we have the RGB, red, green, blue. Now we have an alpha. The more white, the more shine. The more black, the less shine. Now, some maps will come with the specularity, especially if you rip them from other games and other things. See, this is a specularity map. It has color, but when we import that color into the normal map, it's going to automatically erase that color and make it black and white. And these are set for that value because these will find that black and white. So I'm going to hit Control A to select all, Control C to copy. I'm going to go into the alpha channel of the normal map, Control V. See how I did that? See how it's black and white? It automatically translates that color. But specularity maps have already been translated so that when they go black and white, they have that color intensity already down. So this means that the hair is pretty much dark. It's, I mean, not dark. The hair is pretty much not going to shine, except for these little strands. Maybe it'll shine a little bit more. In a more detailed engine, like an Unreal Engine or a Unity engine or something like that, that would definitely have a lot more play. What Neverwinter Nights do, not so much. Sometimes based off variables. So when I say variables, it's hit and miss if you get that map correct. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and save that. TGA, a target file, does save with the alpha channel information, which makes that very important. Now, if I wanted to kind of be a little bit more realistic with the hair, I can also copy this. This is what I did for the hat. I copied the normal file with Control A, Control C, coming over to diffuse, dropping it in there, okay, right on top as a new layer. I'm going to desaturate the layer by hitting Control Shift U, okay. I'm going to hit Control L for levels. I'm going to hit Auto, okay. I'm going to bring this down, kind of crunch it in a little bit, hit OK, and set this to override. Oh, move, not difference, overlay, okay. And what that does is it kind of gives it a little more depth. That's a little bit too much depth if you ask me, so I'm going to tone it down to about maybe 50. Now this is always an approach for everybody. This is just my approach. You don't have to do this. Some people don't. It doesn't matter really. I'm going to hit Control E after I select two layers to combine them. Oh, I hate that noise. Okay, and hit Control S. Why do you do that? Oh, it's because I have you selected still. Okay, so now that that's saved, one thing I did notice is my files are actually named hair_diffuse, which is not a good name for a texture to go into a hack file that's going to have lots of hairs. Chances are there's already a hair_diffuse somewhere in there, and if you have two textures colliding, they're going to error out, so it'll automatically revert to the vanilla hair model, which is not going to be good for some models. So that being said, what I want to do is I want to rename them. So I'm going to hit Control Shift S for save as. I'm going to name this Tinuvial hair 01_D. I kind of make them up as I go. It just seems easy for me to reference that way. This actually has no alpha channel in it, so I'm going to turn that off. You know what? We can save it because an alpha channel saves white anyway, and white alpha channel in a diffuse map doesn't really matter so much. 32 bits. We always want to make sure that's at 32 bits. If you save it with any of these, you'll have errors. 32 bits is what target resolution, that color resolution that the engine reads. So resolution 32-bit. Press OK, and I'm going to go back here, and let's see, this is the right one. I'm going to save this as to Control Shift S. I'm going to also save it as to Tinuvial underscore, not plus, dude, hair 01_N for the normal map. Alpha channels, yes please, and save. 32 bits per pixel, yes. Okay, now that that's done, what we're going to do is What we're going to do is we're going to open up our MDB cloner, and we're going to assign those textures that we just made to the actual MDB. All right. So what I want to do first is I'm going to move those two files into the exported hair and just pull them out from there. So model viewer, I think I have it in here. MDB cloner, okay. File, load, desktop, working files, hair tutorial, exported hair. Here it is right here. Okay. See how it's hair diffuse, hair normal? That's because it's still using these maps. But we renamed them, which is a good thing. Because if not, we're bound to, especially if that's just lazy naming. If you put it in that way, chances are you're gonna put another one in with that same name, and you'll have a big error, and you'll have to re-download an entire hack file, re-edit an entire hack because of one little error, and you don't want that happening. Okay, so save clone. It's going to overwrite the existing file. Yes. Okay. I'm also going to save it as hair number 2. Save clone. Bam. So we have 2 hairs in there now. Okay. The reason why I did that is because if I like the way hair number 1 comes out, I'm going to delete it. But I'm going to keep it as hair 2 because my next project's going to use hair 01. So I'm just kind of making space for the next one. Now that was a little presumptuous to me. I'm assuming nothing's going to go wrong with my hair. but essentially after you're done with the hair, name it off as something else until you come back to it. Sometimes what I would do is I would name it as Hero 1 and then give it a name like Tunavio, and then not worry about it until I'm ready to export all my hairs, and then I'll come in and put all the ones I made up and then rename them off as improper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, BG underscore whatever slot that takes. BG underscore whatever slot that takes. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. We don't need that right now. Close that out. I'm going to go ahead and go to our override. We have a test helmet. I'm going to call this test hair. Go into test hair. I'm going to go ahead and copy these files, not move, copy them into here, because if I for some reason overwrite one or delete something, I have the backup here. I used to make that mistake early on. Not fun. Don't want to do it again. So that being done, we're ready to start up this game and see if we did this correctly. If we didn't do it correctly, it's because I did that on purpose and I knew what I was doing, and I just wanted to show errors so that way we can correct them as a team. I hope you bought that. Alright. Alright, so here we are. And I'm going to go to multiplayer, sign in, play the BG server. I heard that server's awesome. Let's see. Join, history, Baldur's Gate. Alright. I'm going to create a character. Ooh, I wonder what they have. Oh, okay, let's see. Let's make a human. Female. My, look at that hairdo. Now, I'm already seeing some issues with that B46 because I didn't weight it properly, but you can see what I mean there. Now, when I bring it in, I'm seeing this going on. Not liking that, but that involves a little tweaking, but I'm glad we got what we needed to get done. Now, do you see how this hair is waving on its own? This is the importance of a B46 and B45 naming method, is because it's using a different weighting system. When it reaches this angle, let me zoom out. When it reaches this angle, a different weight pulls on it. So it's not really the head weight. This is the head weight, but it's like this is like a backbone weight, and then there's like a butt weight, and the head weight or the backbone weight's what's pulling on it. So it gives that effect of like swaying in the air. Now, I'm gonna go through and just do a live test of it not swaying so much. I think it's just really right here because it doesn't really be. I don't like the clipping either, but it doesn't seem to be giving an issue so much. You know what? For the sake of just Unity, let's go ahead and do a live edit. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new file. I'm not going to use this one because this one is using. This is before we reassign textures, and I'm just going to keep it closed for now. I'm going to quickly import that same hair model. Import Neverwinter Nights 2. Remove doubles. Find an armature, and I'm going to go to where is my hair tutorial? No, it's actually documents, Neverwinter Nights 2, override, test hair, and first hair here. Okay, so there it is. Put it there. Turn this off. Now I know I said I'd make this tutorial short. I'm sorry, but I'd rather you just learn it all than just. I mean, if your aim is to learn, than to just say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. Figure it out, guys. I gotta go. All right, so I'm just gonna assign it all to B55, and I'm gonna bring this up a little bit so that way it's not clipping so much. Because chances are, if it's clipping on that first armor, it's gonna be clipping on the rest of them because all of the rest of the armors are referenced off that first armor. So I'm gonna delete B46, and if we notice here, I'm gonna go into my weight distribution. And I'm just going to assign, I'm going to hit Control A and just put assign all to B45. Now they should all be red. So B45 is controlling everything within that hair. What I am going to do though is I am going to bring this up a little bit. And I'm going to use proportional editing, enable, hit G, scale it down using the middle mouse. Okay. And hit escape because you don't want it at that setting because you may have moved it a little bit already. And then now move it up just a little bit. Maybe select some of these, bring these up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, and then that's it. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to turn this back on. You can leave it off, whatever you want to do, because as long as the file's in there, we're going to go to File, Export. Neverwinter Nights, Smooth TS Seams, Alpha Test, Test Hair, which is in our override folder, Neverwinter Nights 2 override Test Hair, and re-overwrite that first one. And we can actually contrast it to the second one because I loaded both hairs in. Okay, so I'm going to click Mail right quick just to kind of help reset the mesh, because every time you click off and click on, it resets it. It finds the new adjustments. What the hell just happened there? Looks like we have a normals issue. Now, if you notice one thing though, look at our hairs. That's a normals issue. We'll fix that right now. I won't go into depth explaining why that happened because I really don't know why. But it looks like the normals were flipped within the export itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the hairs, and I'm going to flip normals. Instantly right and Control N, putting them outside. Because what happens is, okay, normals, quickly, if I have the time. Normals are pretty much telling you which direction the hair is facing the texture. Now, pretty much is it was all the textures were facing inside. So if you looked at it from the outside, you'd see through it. Now, if we were to look through the hair here, this way, we would see it would be invisible, but on this side it wouldn't. Because textures only work one way, they're not double-sided. Now, some are. You can click double-sided to make them double-sided, but that's not within the Neverwinter Nights 2 engine. In order to duplicate the hairs, we have to click the inside hairs. I don't think they are, though, but yeah, so see how they're dark inside now and they're light on the outside? That means if we were to go into her brain and look inside and look outside the hairs, we won't go into her brain, don't worry. You would see transparency. In this case, what we did is we flipped the normals around so that way the textures are facing outward. Now I noticed there was some issues around here as well, so let's go ahead and fix that. As you can see, you can kind of tell because the normals are kind of dark. So we're going to make sure these normals are facing outward and out. This looks like it shouldn't be facing though, so let's... Something does not look right there. Okay, let's turn this off, disable because it's moving everything with it. Alright, so that's a little tricky because the normals are twisting. So what happens is just the outside of the texture showing outside here. And then when it gets to this area right here, you can't see it, turns transparent. For the sake of confusing you any more than I possibly already have, let's go ahead and file export Neverwinter Nights 2. Test hair 01, and let's click off it, click back on it, and we fixed it. And also we have the hair looking straight. Now it's not something I like. Now let's go to the second one where we didn't have to edit it. The second one, as you can see, still uses the old edit of the hair. Well, that's the head I changed, not the hair. See? And that's the old one. Now, one trick that we can also do is we can lighten the weight of the hair on it, and maybe that'll fix the little sway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control 1, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go back into my weights by hitting Control Tab, okay, or just going down here and going into Weight Paint, okay. I'm going to hit Control Tab, Z, sorry, there we go, Z. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of like lighten it a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to subtract some of the weights from the bottom here, and I'm going to turn on this little option right here called Limit Selection to Visible. It allows me to see the vertices that are behind as well and edit those as well in one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of color it a little bit. I'm thinking maybe this will give me a little bit more sway. Okay, I'm just gonna go in here. Weights don't have to be entirely accurate. I just don't like not blue like that, so let me just turn these into like a light blue. Who knows? Maybe that'll help it. So it just means that this B45 model is going to control a lot of this and a little bit more less of this, so it's not so stiff. Okay. So file export. Like I said, we don't have to do anything else. We just export it. Test hair 01, and let's see if that changed anything. It's a hit and miss here, people. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, is it swinging a little bit? Not so much. It looks like the B46 would need more pressure on it, but you know what? We're fine right now. I think it's okay. Let's see. Oh, I gotta fix that. Okay. Now it doesn't always fit all of the hairs, all of the heads. And like I said, this could use a little more tweaking, which I'll probably do in post afterward. As long as the tutorial is getting completed and what we're doing here. Bard, and there's the hair model. Okay. And we are going to create a texture for it, and we'll call it that because I promised you a texture. Now, in order to do the texture, we have to close out the game, because even if we make the texture, it's got to reload it into the game prior to you entering any module. Okay, so to create the textures, pretty easy, pretty damn simple. We're going to open up the hair texture model here, the diffuse map. Okay, is it not? Why did it ask me that? That was weird. Okay, close these out. No longer need these. Okay, gonna go in here. All right. And pretty much we're going to choose color. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to color everything red. That's all that matters. Well, that doesn't make sense. It's not all that matters. Other colors matter too. Okay, so we're going to hit this. We're going to turn up the red, turn down the green, turn down the blue, and we're going to hit edit, fill with the foreground color. Or actually it's the background color in this case, so I was editing the background color. So background color, which is red. There's also a shortcut for that too if you're a little bit experienced with Photoshop, which is Control Backspace, or Control and yeah, Backspace, delete. Okay, and I hit undo. I'm gonna turn this off. I want to make sure these little things, these little looks like the little hair design or little hair trinkets have their own color space too. So I'm gonna select that. I'm gonna go over the normal map. I'm gonna make that a different color. I'm gonna touch the foreground color. I'm gonna make the foreground color. I'm doing this a different way as well, as you can see. Is I'm gonna make it 0 red and just pure green. 255, which is the max color you can choose for most colors, all colors, RGB, and 0. So it's gonna make it pure green. I'm gonna hit Alt Backspace, which is to make the foreground color. Foreground colors Alt Backspace, Control Backspace, Alt Backspace, Control Backspace. Foreground, Alt Backspace, background color, Control Backspace. Oh, I almost confused myself. Okay, Control D to deselect. I'm going to turn this layer off. I'm going to use this as my sample. I'm going to change this to elliptical ellipsis selection tool. Hold down Shift so that way everything I make is within proportion. So if I don't, then you can get ovals and stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of box this out about right there. Hold down Shift and just select it about right there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Alt again, and this is going to allow me to copy this selection. And I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to I'm going to hold down Alt, not copy the selection, duplicate, and I'm going to hold down Shift as well and select this little area. Well, that didn't work. Actually, I'm just going to hold down Shift. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I almost led you astray. And I'm going to select this little area too. Now, this may sound confusing and this may sound boring, but if this is your passion and these things like you get a good grip and start making a lot of hairs, it'll be easier and easier. Now, normally I don't do everything at once. I just create the hairs and then someday I'll say, you know what? Today I'll make the maps. And so this is simply as making a map. So Control D. All right. I'm going to flatten these two together. I'm going to go into here. And you can leave that as is actually. Not that it matters. Yeah, that doesn't matter. You can leave it as is. But normally, no. Just for the sake of it being in the new map, we're going to delete this map. Delete the one it came with. And I'm using the diffuse just as a sample. Now that I'm done, I'm not going to override the diffuse map. I'm just going to make it all white. Okay, basically white on a tint map tells you that whatever's tintable, the green and the red, are tintable at white, which is full intensity. If I make this gray, that means half intensity. If I make it black, no intensity. It means the tint won't bleed through. This is telling you how much of that tint will bleed through over to the diffuse channel. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and save that off. Control Shift S. Do not save it over your diffuse map. Our intent is to kind of use the diffuse map as a starting point and saving it out as a T for tint map. Click save. Click OK. Now that we have that, we have to update our MDB. Okay, we have to update the MDB to add that map to it. Else it won't read it. It won't be for nothing. So we're gonna go into our model viewer, MDB cloner, file, load, and I'm actually gonna find it in my my override folder. Test here, because that's where we're working from now. The one that's in the override folder. Here, right here, hero 1, and we're gonna add it in here, the tint map. T. Save. Overwrite. Yes. Okay. Now I'm gonna fire up the game, and we're almost done, I swear. Okay, fire up the game. Get it going. There's something I didn't do on purpose. Now this is actually on purpose, not the other things that we're doing on purpose. This is actually on purpose. Alright, is we're going to hit multiplayer, sign in. Okay. And we're going to create a character, a human female. Now, right off the bat, we notice the hair is darker. The tint map is actually working. Hit next. Zoom in a little bit here. And the hair highlight. That's not doing anything. Let's see. Well, red controls hair accessory, it looks like. So based off whatever color you make the map, well, at least we can make some super green hair or something. But one thing that I'm noticing is that see how the little doodads here, little trinkets are being colored by hair color? That actually should have been the green. The green should have been the hair, and the red should have been the hair accessory. So I got those backwards. So we're gonna go and fix that. But I also want you to notice one thing, is that the hair itself is not turning the true color of what you're asking it to, because we left the diffuse map as pure red. So whatever we're tinting is fighting off the red that's originally in there. So whenever you create a hair map, and we have to always make sure we desaturate the diffuse map so the hair, the actual tints can bleed through it properly and not interfere with the actual colors that are on the diffuse map. If that makes sense, I hope it does. Alright, so in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into here. I'm going to hit W just for a quick selection. I'm going to select everything minus this right here. And I'm going to new layer just for now. I'm going to actually hit Alt backspace to make that green. Press M, select the inverse, which is the parts that I didn't select. Actually, you know what? Control D. Okay. So let me go ahead and select these little parts now. Hit W, select, or you can just, whenever you make your map, not do the mistake I just made and just get it right the first time. And Control D. So green is going to be for the main hair, and red is going to be for the little trinkets. Good food for thought. Just remember that later on whenever you're making more maps. Usually green is for the main portion of the hair. Now blue is for the hair highlights, and I'm not adding that in this map. This is a very simple map, but you can add hair highlights if you want to go through and create blue streaks in the hair here. That'll allow you to edit it within the actual map. So I'm going to save this off as the target file. Save. Yes. Okay. Press OK. Now that that's done, I also have to edit the diffuse map. Okay, let's see here, diffuse, and I'm going to edit this to make this pure black and white. Adjustments, you can either desaturate and then go to image adjustments, brightness and contrast, hit auto. It should brighten it just enough for you to saturate it, maybe a little bit brighter. That way, the more brighter, the more the hair will bleed through. Okay, press OK, and I'm going to go ahead and save that out. And then, because it's a texture map, the texture file is already loaded within the game. You don't have to exit the game and exit back in. All you got to do is simply click on and off. So I'm going to click off, back on. Okay, and there we go. Now we have full control over the hair because our map is no longer fighting that original red that was in the diffuse map. So when we go into hair highlight now, it should be green. The green is what colors this. Okay, so you have this. There is no hair highlight because we have no blue in there. When we create blue, we can do that. And for these little trinkets, we can color red, green, and yeah. So there we go. And then there's your hair. And we've also created tint maps. We've got a lot done today. I need a drink. Alright, so everybody, so we got that knocked out pretty much. Hopefully that was easy to follow. I'm sorry, I'm not the best tutorial maker. I don't get paid for this. I don't have sponsors. Not until Gatorade picks up my sponsorship. But other than that, I'm kind of just winging it. So if you feel like there's something I'm leaving out or something that I need help on or I need to work on, feel free to let me know. Okay, and I will try my best to do that, pending how long these things continue to go on. All right, so thank you everybody for watching this video, albeit how long it is, and happy inventing.